Okay. All right, let's get to the footy. Western Bulldogs and Melbourne. It's Ross the Boss time.
It is Ross the Boss time. And Ross, what a game we have got on Friday. It's disappointing to hear if we don't have a crowd for it. But 1v2, 2 games clear of third spot on the ladder.
Yeah, well, game of the year, any way you look at it, isn't it? Led by Bontempelli and Oliver.
Yeah.
But attack-wise and defence, they're really quite equal. Whereas the Bulldogs, number 1 contested team, the Bulldogs, and Melbourne number 3. So it's going to be fierce around the ball. But points for and against, great defences, 1 and 2, but the Bulldogs number 1. 2 goals better than Melbourne. So at the end of the game, we're going to see whether attack will be able to come to Melbourne defence.
Yeah, gee, they were good at Marvel Stadium. I know it was the Saints and they were disappointing, but we want to watch some of this ball movement of the Western Bulldogs. Firstly, by hand. They can get you in tight by hand, Ross, or they can get you by foot. So that is 3 or 4 handballs into Aaron Norton, who's in great form, or they can get you on the spread by foot
but particularly with their hands, they've got great technique. They keep the ball away from the pressure. That's almost a throw. But they've developed, and a lot of teams in the league are now copying it. So competitive advantage there. But their foot skills, they can slice you. So hand or foot, they flow, and they're beautiful to their forwards, giving them great opportunity.
And Melbourne, we've seen them bring a great pressure this year, haven't we? And they have to bring that to the Dogs at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, well, they're hard and tough. There's no doubt about that. They sort of number 1 defence, number 2 defence, but it's been the heat around the ball, around the clearances to stop easy exits. So they're going to try and take Western Bulldogs' game away from them and give opportunities to their forward line.
Ross, I think these two are the most informed players in the competition. Can you see them playing on each other? Or
Yeah, well, I think they'll go head-to-head, but, do they put time into, they put time into Dusty? Does the Harms, I don't think Hibbert will do it because they play differently, but both great midfielders. Oliver, just a contested beast, basically number 1 in the lead, almost double Bontempelli. But Bontempelli's edge is on the outside. 1.5 goals compared to a half goal. Inside 50 is equal, although Oliver sets up a lot of goals around the contest. But I like Bontempelli's ability to push centre forward, entries and by foot. Oliver's on the way and Bont stood up in the big games. This is an opportunity for Oliver to stand up against the best.
You touched on time and space. Watching him, it was just so graceful the other night. St Kilda, I had to ask the question. You know they're not on when you're allowing a player like this to just launch from outside 50. The time and space he had, that was unforgivable.
Well, as a coach, you want to say, don't get beaten by what you know. So you know Bontempelli, how he's going to play. You've got to put some, you don't have to tag him, but put some time and effort into him to take his game off him. But if you just let him flow and play on his terms, he's a legitimate great player. And I think what you're seeing is a slight difference between him and Oliver, centre forward, foot skills, marking skills. He's just a special player.
Wanted to bring this up, Ross. Okay, he's a different sort of player, Bontempelli, to Dustin Martin. But could you see a Hibbert or a James Harms really going after Bont?
Yeah, we touched on it earlier. I think Harms is the one with the physicality in the run that could sort of defend him around the stoppage and work off him a little bit. He's a different player. Dusty, centre bounce, go forward. Bont's got a few more tricks in his bag that are different to Martin. No better, but obviously different. So he's a different kettle of fish to stop.
A demon that's going under the radar, not in terms of making All-Australian, but from opposition clubs, is Christian Sailorman. Just want to show how he creates for Melbourne. He just does not waste a possession. He takes yardage with it. When is a team going to sit on Christian Sailor? Because I think the times must be getting very close.
Well, I think it's this week. I mean, he's number 2 in nearly every category in the league. Possessions, kicking efficiency, metres gained, he's high. He's very composed. He sets them up. And I think what they'll do is the Bulldogs, Joe Hannison, who was an electric half-back, has actually gone to a defensive forward role. We'll see a clip here. He's on Sard. So he went to Sard this game. I'll watch this game. And what he'll do is he'll make Salem defend. He'll put some real run and some heat on him and he'll negate him at the right time. So I think you'll see Joe Hannison go to Salem and throw him a different challenge rather than just let him play the game.
Yeah, that is that goal you're talking about, the way he creates it, getting out the back of Adam Sard. So there's another 2 Western Bulldogs down the other end, Ross, who Bailey Dale is using the ball as well as anyone, as is Caleb Daniel. What do you do about those sort of players?
Well, they're great distributors, and you can just see Caleb Daniel, he's a great decision maker. No panic here, composed, and he just threads the item there. In between 3 Saints players closing. If that ball sits up, and then Bailey Dale keeps his width, beautiful kick, great decision maker, and they combine well here. The 1-2, and there's a goal, Bailey Dale. But Melbourne, you've got to back your system in. Goodwin was saying, well, we don't need to invent anything new. We stand up. Bring your forward heat. Keziah Pickett, chase downs from behind. You've got Spargo that's going to chase down from behind. These are the chases and tackles you want. And I think if they apply that heat, and it's what Richmond did. Richmond threw Baker to the half-forward line and he just shook up the forward pressure and the Bulldogs struggled to handle it. So I think it's a real key to them winning this game, with Neil Bullen doing it as well.
Spot on, Ross. They have to bring that Melbourne, you would have thought. And I thought Matthew Nicks coached really well last week against Melbourne, because he thought, May and Levy, you can't kick the ball in the air. And we've got some vision, Ross, of how Adelaide lowered their eyes really well.
Yeah, and you can just see here, Levy likes to get on a small. Hopefully the Bulldogs bring in English back in. There's 3 tall, so he can't do this. But if they kick the ball high and long, he rolls off. They lowered the ball. They refused to kick it to May and leave a high so they could roll off and intercept. Nick spoke about it in his presser post-game. You can just see here, May trying to get back. They're folding back. And then just a little tick up, and May goes, oh, you're ticking up. So they need smart ball use. But they don't have to invent anything here. They're scoring over 100 points for a reason. They're not bombing the ball in unless they have to. They're hitting leads up, drawing the leads, making teams defend. So you can just see here, outside 50, that's just a low dart into a leading Norton. So they've already got their DNA. But if there is a +1, they will kick it high and bring the ball to ground.
Just speak me through that. The crummers of the Western Bulldogs, Ross, so they can get you on fast leads, or they can get you this way.
Yeah, you can see here, there's the tall in the hole. They bring it to ground and there's a crumb. And we've got one more example. You can just see here, St Kilda, they bring the ball to ground, they absorb the +1 into the contest, and then they just mop it up at ground level.
No Treloar, no Dunkley, no Viney for the Ds. Who do you like in this one?
The Bulldogs' form's just too strong. I think Melbourne have tapered off a little bit, and I think the Bulldogs are cherry ripe to get them.
All right, lastly, we just want to look at the Magpies in terms of their ball movement. So Nathan Buckley, been a little bit of criticism. I know there's a lot of kids in and a lot of things going on there with, obviously youth, but this ball movement, Ross, so you've coached a lot at AFL level. I want to talk through these pieces of vision. So here is Steele Sidebottom, who's been a great distributor. There's a turnover, a fast turnover. I want to ask why he can't use that player there or take the yardage and get it to McCreery one-on-one.
Quite simply, either an organised or disrupted defence.
Yeah.
So Porter disrupted, quick turnover. You can see they're out of position. You take those opportunities to go, but their strategy was control the ball. So it's just a bit of decision-making, and they could have gone forward. But when teams are organised with the ball, so they're disrupted, you've got to take those one-on-ones, because you turn it over there, you're not going to get sieved. But Collingwood, I'm not as critical. I think they've got the foundations right. They just need to get their decision-making right. Look, they're disrupted. I know we want to control it, but in these situations, go in and we'll score quickly, because forwards are talented enough. I think that's just being not overcoached, that's them being overcoachable. So to go is like, well, we need to control it, make them defend, but you just wanted to strike that bit of a balance. I think they've got a foundation and can fix it. I'm not as critical, but they need to get moving on the decision-making.
I think playing Geelong this week, they have to be a little bit bolder, otherwise they'll struggle to score.
Well, it's decision-making. I think it's just finding the balance.